Hey, good morning, Etienne.
Mm.
Thank you for joining us and taking part in this trader interview series. The program really is for all traders to help you relate to others in the same pursuit, as well as for others to relate to you. So it's not really about money or prestige or any of that stuff. It's just about knowing where you fit into the whole paradigm, and for other traders to realize that they're not alone in their pursuit. So, what made you decide to start trading in the first place, Etienne?
So Warren, I've been interested in trading on the stock market from a very young age, just after school. I've also studied finance, but for in and out of the market in various guises, I've been there for the last 38 years.
That's a lifetime. And
And I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I still enjoy every moment of it.
okay, no, that's
Makes life
cool.
interesting.
What do you focus on?
Normally on my main line is equities and equity CFD specifically. And that's my essentially my main business if you look at
Okay,
it like. Then I also do forex and hourly for hourly and daily. Used to try and do that on a very quick basis, but decided it's too quick. And
okay.
then the indices that we do from 1 minute to daily, the various strategies that we do.
And what have you found the most difficult thing to do in trading?
I would say I'm very easily distracted. So my main thing is keeping my concentration and staying focused.
Uh-huh.
I, I've also found I'm too impatient with trades. I want things to work quicker than they should. And it's something I can do in equities, but it's something that seems to, if we trade indices, that I cannot help myself, but takes more profits instead of larger profits.
Okay.
Uh, Consistency is normally difficult, especially if you trade shorter time frames. Longer time frames, it's better. It's better, and I'm more patient in them. The other thing that constrained me because of my background is I've always taken an investment perspective. You buy a share and you think you're going to keep this thing forever instead of just going in, taking your profit and get out, and there's always another trade. Uh, um,
Mhm.
Especially if you look from a fundamental perspective, it sometimes keeps me back from things that I should be doing a lot easier. But one thing I've discovered in trading and investment are two wholly different activities, although you play on the same place, on the same field.
All right. So you do struggle to get the different time frames sorted out.
Yeah, and there's always something happening on some time frame I'm not looking at that I should have looked.
That's where the distraction comes in, eh?
That's the distraction. Trying to do too many things at the same time.
It happens to all of us, man. And
Uh,
yeah, well, I have the same problems. Um, oh, yeah, interesting part of trading. I know trading's a huge field. What do you find the most interesting part?
I think the whole trading aspect and following financial markets I found totally fascinating.
Hmm.
My big love is looking at different systems and strategies and indicators and what makes them work, getting behind a total understanding why they work and why they don't work at times and what indicates that. Also the psychology behind trading
Hmm.
and how that interfaces with what's happening in the world. Everybody says risk on and the market goes up and says, well, what's going to make this thing stop? Or the vice versa. Why is it dead at the moment? Like at the moment, I think the markets are fairly dead because of the Northern European holidays. Although everybody's at home, so I'm not sure.
And then,
Then, yeah, I also like maths and numbers, and I like playing with various things and exploring various alternatives like uh, just sequential numbers and predicting them, or more or less see what is the probabilities of them going up and down, and where it's likely to go. That is what I find interesting. Then also technical analysis and fundamental analysis separately. And I believe I'm reasonably good at both. And this fundamental analysis, that's my background. I get thought of. So analyzing companies is
Okay.
reasonably straightforward for me.
Do you find that your love of the numbers and new systems and that affects your consistency?
At times, yes. If I'm always looking to find something better to improve it. So it's like I've heard in one of the guys that I know, not a trader, totally different, that there's no such thing as best practice. There's just better practice than what you have, which is it's an interesting concept. So you're trying to consistently improve on what you do. And from that perspective, if I can do better today than I did yesterday, or discover a way that tells me a little bit more, say, earlier warning than what a system would give you, yes. And yes, it can be very distracting because now you're playing with things instead of looking at the market.
I was wondering about that because you do have a lot of interests. You do have a math brain, and it's quite difficult sometimes to put the math together with the psychology and have something that you can just rinse and repeat. Eh?
Nothing that can't be solved by Red Bull and Red Bull, I promise you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you find the easiest to do in trading?
I wish I can say I find trading easy. I find it fascinating, but it's difficult. I'm probably my own worst enemy by overthinking trades when I shouldn't and overanalyzing. But the easiest part of trading is basically getting out of the trade. When it doesn't work for me, I get out. When it looks like it worked till it's supposed to work, I'm also not scared to get out.
All right,
it's the
so
times
that
I stay in too long that sometimes bite me. Or like I said, this is not an easy game. I think this is probably the most difficult thing I've done in my life. And I think people need to realize that trading sounds easy and people want easy recipes and things like that.
Yeah.
You have to work damn hard to get this thing, and it changes every day.
So when you say, oh, sorry, man, carry on.
No, that's
okay. So when you say getting out of a trade is easy for you, is it the stop losses that are easy? Look, it's never nice to lose money, but are the stops the easy part or taking profit exits?
I think stops is when it's not working, and I've learned if I don't take my stop, it just becomes a bigger loss. And I mean, part of my risk management is just take the flip and stop, and if it pans out, you enter again. If it doesn't, well, then it wasn't for you. There's always another trade. And it took me a very long time to realize that and to get over that hurdle.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to know. I mean, stops are the first thing that people have to get past. Eh?
And I've learned one thing by this statistical analysis back. If I take more stops than I should, but I make them smaller, a fixed amount or fixed risk percentage, I tend to lose less than when I don't.
Okay, so you do some statistical analysis of your historical trades?
Yes, I do. I just say, for example, if I trade the Aussie tells me do not take more than, I would say, 100 point, more than 100 point stop. And whenever I think maybe this thing will turn around, it turns around after I long time decided I should be not in this trade. Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you move your stop to, the market will turn just afterwards.
It's fascinating. Once you enter a trade, you tend to go against you a lot quicker than
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like that, eh? So what gets you excited about trading?
when my hypothesis that I take a trade on works exactly like what it's supposed to work like. For example, you put a fib in, you enter at the right place in the fib, and you exit the right place in the fib, and it hits it every time, or it hits it to the fib, and that's a good feeling. So, okay, so I was right there, and that's the bad thing in the market. You're here to make money. You're not here to be right. And that's the other thing. I come from a profession which is you have to be right because if you advise somebody, you cannot be wrong. Well, the market proves you wrong every day, every second or third trade, it bites you. So it's just part of the game. You have to get used to that. That's one of the things that's it's changed my outlook in the way I view life totally. I don't have to be right. I just need to be reasonably consistent in being right. I don't have to be right all the time. And that's it. Also, the other thing that I like is playing with numbers and finding out a new strategy or combination of things that seem to work reasonably consistently. That I enjoy. That says, okay, you understand what you're doing, you're playing in the right field.
So if you had to speak to a new trader, what would be that one piece of advice that you would give someone who's starting out?
Set proper stops and don't miss them. The
So
rest is
proper stops and?
don't miss them.
Okay.
Execute them. The risk management is the biggest game here. You can enter at random, I believe. As long as you have proper risk management, you'll survive.
Yeah. Thank you. And have you put in a percentage of capital as a target, let's say weekly, monthly, yearly? Have you done anything like that?
No, I haven't. I perhaps should, but I do not.
Mm-hmm.
And I, I, I tend to, especially in the equity market, try to maximize trades rather than trade at a specific target. If a specific target's reached, yes, I would take some money off the table, but I would remain until I see a real turn in the.
So you do like partial exits?
I do partial exits. I don't do partial entries. It doesn't seem to work for me because I just get cross with myself that I didn't enter more when I should have. And the system I use is fairly consistent. So when it reaches my first target, I would take half of the table and then let the rest ride till I cannot not doing what it's supposed to do anymore.
Yeah.
And that works quite well for me. I mean, percentage of capital, because I trade CFDs, I have a vastly different outlook than most people on portfolio management and portfolio construction.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the gearing effect. I mean, with the gearing effect, you can probably, with 15% of your total portfolio, get to the same as 100% of your gross portfolio and trade on that. And if you can make money on that, you make money on the whole portfolio.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Well, personally, I also don't have a percentage target, but it is quite interesting to see how many people have versus how many haven't.
If I trade capital, I try to do it and try to follow Patrick on and yourself on, say, this 1,000, but I invariably screw it up there. So I would say the trading indices at the moment is just a school for me to actually find out better things to do in the equity market.
Okay.
But there's lots of money to be made in Forex and the indices if you apply the strategies properly.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, it's not difficult to do. It's just the discipline to do it.
Sure. And then the next question is, are you intending to trade for a living now? I know that you personally have been trading for a while. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Before I started trading full time, I used to trade as a hobby. I was financial director of a fairly large company, and we decided to close the company down. And since then, since it was 2013, and since then I've been trading full time, and
Hmm.
I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Okay, so yeah, that's quite a while to be trading for a living. And then, yeah, I mean, the big question, and I think every trader should ask themselves, what would make you stop trading?
Probably when I die. I don't know. I enjoy trading too much. Life is too much like trading. It's like never consistent, always different the next day.
Yeah,
And it becomes a way of life. So I don't think I'll ever stop trading.
awesome. Hey, you're not the first person to say death.
I enjoy it. I mean, if I didn't enjoy trading, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And then I know that you married. How long have you been married?
I've been married for 31 years. My wife's also financially inclined. We've got many mutual interests, although the market isn't very interested, but finance is like
Okay.
mine. So we enjoy that. And in trading, I've got my wife's full support. So this is the way.
And have you
This
found
is
that
the way.
does it make it easier to trade with your partner's full support?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, excellent, Etienne. That brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Warren. That was really interesting.
Excellent.
Yes.
And we'll
Okay.
chat again online.
Great stuff.
Thanks, Etienne. Cheers.
Thanks, Warren. Cheers.